Hello Discord friends, my name is James Zachary. I am the XR creative lead here at Adobe in the 3DI team. And I'm here to kind of walk you through getting started with the geospatial scene in Adobe Aero. We've received lots of requests for a video like this, so here we are. Let's do it. Now let's dive in, but first let's start in Google Maps. Now Aero uses Google Map data for positioning our geospatial scene. So it's best to start here and see if your desired location has enough coverage to actually work as a geospatial scene. Now I like to do that by dragging the little person in the scene here. Now we can see it's off to a good start because of all the blue lines. So let's drop them here. And now this is our scene. Let's spin around. Now I'm going to create the experience against the Adobe building, which happens to be that building right there. And this looks like a pretty good spot for a geospatial scene. We have buildings that things can localize to, and we have a nice area right here that the viewer can safely stand and experience our augmented reality scene. And we have all sorts of real estate to create the scene upon. Perfect. So now let's go into Aero and bring the scene in. Okay, so here we are in Aero. So the first thing we need to do is change our anchor type to location, so we can type in our location. And we'll do that by coming up here and just typing 601 Townsend, and there it is. Boom. Now we already tested this inside Google Maps, so we know this is going to be a great location to create some geospatial augmented reality around. So give it a second here to load these tiles, and we're loading in. Now, this is where it can be a little funny. So right now, this little icon is on top of the roof, and you can see that by hitting Control. And if you right click, you can pan around, or you can actually orbit around this area. So this is the Adobe building, and from the street view, we are right here. So what I want to do is I want to just double tap right here, actually click once, and it'll move the pin to that spot. Now we could zoom in and make sure we're actually on the ground, because this is where a lot of things can go wrong. Now this basically means this is where I want the experience to start. And I'm going to put the everything else against this wall here. I won't do much because, oops, I clicked there. This is just a demo to kind of help everybody get into geospatial fast. So this is the Adobe building, and here's our scene right there. And once I'm happy with that, I can just hit select, and then Aero will grab and pull in those tiles and create a little scene for me here. There it is. It is now loading the tile into our scene. And as you can see, where I dropped that pin is actually the origin of the scene, which is right there. And the tiles, they'll actually load in a little cleaner in a minute. I have a slow internet connection today for some reason because it's Friday. And so things aren't loading as fast as I hope. But anyways, there it goes. Oh, keep going. Maybe if I circle around like this, sometimes that makes it go faster. True story. All right, so now I can start crafting my scene right here. So let's just drag and drop. Actually, we'll just drop in a little knot, because the knot's kind of pretty. And now it's going to put it right at the origin, and you may think, where to go? It's so tiny. That's because it's life size, right? This tile is huge. So I need to come down here, I need to change the size to something a little bigger. So let's change it to 100. And boom, there we go. Bigger is better, right? That's what they say. Now the pivot point's a little funny just because we are in the real world and things don't line up in 90-degree increments. So we'll just have to deal with that. But we'll just move it over to in front of the Adobe building, and let's scale it down to, let's see, oh, that's a little too small. Let's go 25. And we'll move it kind of back into this area over here. Let's see. Now my viewers here, and it's a nice safe spot for them. So I'm just kind of moving things around to where I think it looks good, and then I'm just going to leave it there, and we'll call it a day. Now, if you grab this little this thing here, there's all sorts of things actually. That actually snaps to the geometry, but we're not doing that right now. So we're just gonna do that, and we'll get out a simple trigger if we want to. So we're gonna come down here, and we're gonna hit on start. We want this thing to let's have it rotate. We're gonna have it rotate around the Y. We'll have it go 360 degrees. We'll have it go for 4 seconds, and we'll have it go over here. And if I play, there it is spinning. Let's go infinite. Now if we preview this, there we are. That's our scene. So the viewer will be here, and this orb should be floating above the space. Now I also want to say how important it is before you invest time actually crafting your scene. Go out and test it. It's super important because sometimes the object will be floating above the ground, sometimes it'll be below the ground, and there are ways to fix that. You can come over here to the anchor, and inside the anchor we have the snap to ground. This tends to work in bigger cities. What this does is when you're on site, it'll actually take your location of the phone and the location of the assets, and it'll actually set the anchor based off of the coordinates of where your phone is and where the ground is. Sometimes this works, so test it. Sometimes it doesn't work. Again, we're in pre-release, so we're still working out all the kinks and making this better. And we're super happy you're here to create these experiences for us and kind of really test out what you can do with geospatial. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of really how you start a geospatial scene. So obviously, I'd go out and test, see if this is in the right spot, and then if it is, I'm happy, and I can start crafting my scene around that. Another little hack I do is I'll rough things in using just these flats, flat geo, moving them into the space, and then kind of rough out the scene so it can kind of look like what I'm trying to create, kind of a masked object. And you can come down here and actually hit mask, so you can use it as a mask. And if you want, you could use it as a reference too. References will not get published in your scene when you go to publish. So if you have 6 megs of reference assets and you click reference, when you hit share, it won't actually share those assets, so they'll just be referenced in your scene. Cool. So yeah, that's what I recommend for creating a geospatial experience. I hope that's helpful, and start creating and share your work here in Discord. It's always awesome to see what our creators are doing with their work. Thanks. Bye.